All right, guys, the Iamaleavas have had their hands out since December, apparently, and they've talked to other schools since December, according to Chris Lowe of ESPN. We've talked about it a little bit. Was this all about money, et cetera, et cetera? What does this tell us about the roster? Do you look at it and say, yeah, there are legitimate roster concerns? I can see offensive line. Or does it make you worry more about this roster? Or do you say, no, this is just a bad actor who's wanting cash? Or does it make you, boy, if he's worried about the roster, what does that tell me? Where are you on that?
Yeah, I think the defensive roster is really good. Yeah. I think the offensive roster needs help. I think they need help at wide receiver, and I think they need help at offensive line. I don't think they're real good on the roster in those two particular areas.
And those are the two areas we said this months ago. There are two areas where they haven't shown that they can recruit their own guys and develop. They've developed every other position. They've developed people at those positions who were handed to them, who they inherited.
Right.
But they have not found receivers and offensive lines to date and made them into stars. Yeah. What about you in terms of this roster?
I think it's a pretty good roster. I think the argument for going to get a good quarterback is you might be the right quarterback away from being right back in the playoff. I mean, there's no reason this team can't win 10 games and get back there again. So do they have some depth concerns at wide receiver? Sure. They need to get another body or two.
You're still higher on those receivers than I am.
I'm not saying those guys are
Which
world
you'd probably
beaters.
Be right,
but, I mean, again, to the point of the discussion earlier, let's see where Nico ends up, and I bet it may be a step down from what he had. So I think they've still got talent, and with this system can still win. I think the run game's maybe a little better than people are thinking. We'll see about how the running backs fare this year. And I think the offensive line, they've invested heavily. I mean, if they don't work out this year, that's an open discussion. But you've put a lot of money into Lance Hurd and David Sanders. You went and got pretty aggressive in the portal to get Sam Pendleton and Wendell Moy. That should be a better situation. So I think it's a roster you can win with.
Look, it's an easy schedule. That's the one thing we have to remember, too. It's a very easy schedule as far as the SEC is concerned this year. So I never thought that the roster was where it needed to be, but I think a lot of people thought they might be super active. I know there were a couple of people with 247 and on 3 that both said, hey, Tennessee will be very active in the spring portal because you need to add depth and you need to add a couple more bodies, maybe one more on the offensive line, one more at the wide receiver core, maybe two. But I wondered, did Tennessee run out of money in the winter portal? Because when you had to pay for Boo Carter again, when you had to pay Mike Matthews again, did they not have the money to be able to go fill those holes? So now you're waiting until the spring window. Now you just freed up $2.5 million to go fill holes. So you should have the money to be able to fill some of those holes.
Unless you wind up trying to get a quarterback and it costs you $3 million.
Yeah.
And I think almost any quarterback you'd get now, you're overpaying for it. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't go that route. Take the money Nico wanted out of it, and let's just talk about the team that you have. And, quite honestly, I don't see a roster right now. It's changed. Hadn't seen them play yet. But so far, most of the big-time recruits Tennessee has gotten since Heupel's been here have been kind of disappointing. I mean, Boo Carter looks like he's going to live up. They've gotten good guys out of the portal. But to me, they haven't done a good job of identifying players, and they live up to the potential. Nico didn't live up to his potential. So far, the receivers they've gotten haven't lived up to their potential.
David Sanders is a huge test case.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think Matthews is still a huge test case.
Oh yeah.
Marty. So if you
I've already moved on.
if you take the money and say, is it just the roster? One, I think if they give him the money, he's here, and it doesn't. If me and you are starting on the offensive line, they give him $4 million. He's playing here, but I do think there are questions about the roster.
Last question. We talked about this, I think, before you got into the show, and I thank you for being here today. I know you got family stuff going on. In terms of people, will the Nico exit lead to any exits from Tennessee's roster, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think the idea that Nico's got coattails, kind of like in recruiting.
We didn't see him coming.
Yeah,
we have him going.
I don't think anyone's going to follow him if he goes to.
Mike Matthews is the concern because you had to talk him into staying.
I think the concern would be, does a Mike Matthews see the quarterback situation and think, I can't catch enough passes in this offense this year? Maybe that's a consideration. But if you go out and get a quarterback that's a starter somewhere, I think you'll be fine. I don't think anything really changes.
No rumors yet on who that may be.
No, I think they're going for a starter though, from what I hear. I don't think there's any talk of bringing in a guy to compete with Jake Merklinger. I think they want to bring in someone who is a new starting quarterback.
Yeah, which I keep going back. If you're Merklinger, then do you sit around, or do you just say, all right, my time here is done? But isn't that the same situation he was going into with Nico?
Depends on who it is. If it's a one-year guy.
Did you throw up your hand for a
just
question?
real quick? Part of this also is they were going to change the system for Nico. I don't buy
pistol
that.
tweaks on the
Because here's the
routes.
reason. You've got a coach who came here because of a system
Yeah.
that he is known for. So that coach is going to throw everything away, not only for this year, probably years down the road, to make one guy happier.
Well, but what does that mean? Did they mean change the whole system, or did they mean, you said
and
you were
if
going to add
it-
the
and-
pistol, you said you were going to change some of the routes? How
and,
much-
and tweaking's fine, but
Yeah.
changing the system to fit Nico,
Yeah, I guess
don't
that's
think
it.
that was going to happen.
No, I don't either. That's why I didn't take it as he was going to, start running the single wing.
I was
But-
thinking more wishbone.
More wishbone. All right. The veer. It's already the veer and shoot. All right. Let's see. Bob, Will, and Jimmy, thanks to you guys.